I'm Rebecca Highbottom, and this is the Red Lipstick Republic Fake News, where we do our best to bring you all the fake news, rumors, and gossip that we can scavenge. Basically, we are your geopolitical soap opera reporter. Please consider liking and subscribing, as this is our currency of the future. As you know, we bring you only fake news for your entertainment purposes. We don't want to make you smarter. Now, who'd want that? Let's get into it, shall we? Today, we start in Europe, where their logic seems to be even wackier than in Canada and the United States. They have clearly already dumbed down their sheeple to the place where they can openly be permitted to have these kinds of discussions. Pardon me. More on dumbing down of humanity in a moment, but for now, our eyes are on Europe. This first article that we bring to you this evening is Merkel's back. Ooh, we shudder. Warns Europe could be destroyed without more open borders. Now I know you're probably confused about this title, so let's dive in. Former German Chancellor Angela Merkel, I don't think she understands she's former, but anyways, we move on, is making a message again. Europe could be destroyed unless they continue to allow millions of non-Europeans to flood the bloc. Wait, what? So let me see if I'm following. In order to save Europe, we must flood Europe with non-Europeans. Isn't that like saying, in order to save the farm, you have to burn down the farm? Logic. Who needs it anymore? It's so 1990s. All right, we move on. Let's see what she says. Merkel told the Southwestern Press last week that efforts to secure borders could have catastrophic consequences. Wait, I still don't know how, but we continue. She goes on. I don't believe we can decisively combat illegal migration in the German-Austrian or the German-Polish border. She goes on, I have always advocated European solutions. Yeah, I know you're wondering, me too, but we move on. They don't always make sense, so just let's go along with it, as we always do. When asked about Merz's latest measures adopted by his cabinet, which include a prohibition of asylum applicants in all German land borders, with the exception of pregnant women, children, and other vulnerable individuals, a sharp reversal from Merkel's 2015 open board policy. Yeah, okay, this seemingly on the outskirts looks like it's a better policy, a harsher policy. But let's face it, with the floodgates being completely open, closing the floodgates halfway still will not permit the land to dry up because there's a constant flood of water. Now, if you apply that to immigration, there has to be strict rules, as there was in the past in every country, whether it's European, Asian, or Middle Eastern. We have to have rules of engagement when it comes to neighbors, friends, relatives, borders. You know what I'm saying? We're moving on. Critics have called Merkel's open border policy disastrous after over 1 million migrants flooded into Germany during the peak of the 2015 to 2016 refugee crisis. Oh, well, thank goodness. They're calling it a crisis, but Merkel calls it a success. But we'll leave that out. Cut, paste somewhere else. While Germany continues to be the top destination for asylum seekers, welcoming over 237,000 applicants in 2023. That's roughly 25% of the bloc's total, according to the EU stats. Now, you have to understand another blocking countries together. I'm not sure if anybody remembers, but there is something going on with Mexico, Canada, United States, and Greenland. Will that be an American bloc? To be continued. Maybe. Moving on. we slowly move into story number 2. So as to not lose too many people, as the dumbing down of the first world nations and the world at large is in plain sight as it appears. From Zero Hedge, the next story headline reads, Grading for Equality. San Francisco Public Schools triggered outcry to plan lower standards for students. Now, the article is very simple. We'll quickly just go over some very interesting points. The Voice of San Francisco is reporting that San Francisco Board of Education Superintendent Maria Su has found a solution for the declining scores, in the public schools, lowering the standards for better grades. Of course, this is the most efficient way of doing it. In the uber liberal district, parents were outraged, and there are reports that the plan is now dead. So, okay, thank goodness that these kids dodged the plan today, but for how long? Have you seen Idiocracy, the movie? The plan has begun openly and publicly. It's just a matter of time before they prime the public into acceptance. It will be repackaged and rolled out again. I promise you, you can take that to the bank. Do they say that anymore? I'm going to bring it back. You can bet that the elites do not want a population that can think logically and in any complexity, and let alone understand their rights and freedoms. If we do not protect our future generations from being dumbed down, they will not know they have been dumbed down. That is the point, ladies and gentlemen. If this were to go through, this is the suggested outline of how it may look. Let's take a listen. A new grading for equality plan on Tuesday that will go into effect this fall at 14 high schools and will cover over 10,000 students. That's if it goes through. Right now there's reports it's dead. The school district is already negotiating with the outside consultation to train teachers in August in the system that awards C grades to be allowed as a score of 41% on a 100-point exam. We're going to skip down a little bit. Grading for equity eliminates homework or weekly tests from being counted in students' final semester grade. All that matters is how the student scores on the final exam, which can be taken multiple times. Students can be late, turning in assignments, or showing up to classrooms, or not showing up at all, without it affecting your academic grade. By the way, in Canada currently, and I believe this is also in the States, but don't quote me on that, that is called an IEP, or an independent educational plan. That is generally used for children with disabilities currently. Now, they are looking to implement it on regular children that have no learning disabilities. Okay, we carry on. Currently, a student needs a 90 for an A and at least 61 for a D. Under the San Leandro Unified School District grading for equality system touted by the San Francisco United School District and its consultant, a student with a score as low as 80 can obtain an A, and as low as 21 that can pass with a D. So school is going even further down than it has been. It is grading for equality rather than education. What was left of education, I might add. Public educators have continued to lower proficiency requirements and cancel gifted programs to even the playing field. Who are we evening the playing field for? I mean, do we still want bridges to be built? Do we still want homes to stand? I mean, I would personally be worried about that. The result has been to further hide and dismantle scores and educational standard at many public school districts. This carries on. You can find it on Zero Hedge. You're welcome. And I apologize because this is, if you have children that are school age, I don't know, school options, maybe you want to weigh them. So Our children and grandchildren are turned into screen addicts and sedentary blobs. They are simultaneously going to have less of a vocabulary and a vanishing ability to read and write, eventually bringing them to pictures and videos only, please. I don't speak reading and writing. Looks like the New World Order is right on track, but who really actually cares about the significance of things like reading, writing, or math anymore? Let's be real, y'all. Let's not linger on such unimportant things. It is what it is, right? Moving right along. Anyways, we're moving on. Our next story fits neatly into the support of our future dumbing downs of the society. The title of the headline reads, New Eye Scan Digital ID launches in 6 American cities. Shall we? This is Orwellian in nature, so buckle up, Dorothy, you're not in Kansas anymore. A new biometric digital ID program has quietly taken root in 6 major U.S. cities, raising alarm bells among Americans, those who still have a brain, logical thinking, and have not been equalized in their education. We carry on, and I digress. With personal liberty and digital surveillance, let me try that again. Bells among Americans concerned with personal liberty and digital surveillance. So that's the sentence. I apologize. Under the banner of fighting AI fraud, the World ID Project. Now I want you to hear that. The World ID Project. This isn't the American, okay? It's very significant. The World ID Project, backed by OpenAI Sam Altman, is scanning people's irises in exchange for cryptocurrency and possibly their privacy. Bribery. Isn't that how we got to this shithole in the first place? We've been bribed by plastics and technology and convenience. Pardon me, I seem to have a mosquito in my studio. And another thing that I want you to really pay close attention to is Sam Altman, OpenAI. It seems like fewer and fewer people are starting to have power over more and more of the masses. Now, I understand that logic is being taught out of us or not taught at all, but I want you to consider that perhaps this is starting to get closer and closer to the feudal times that they want, where only a few lords and a couple of kings and queens ruled the world, except they're not named kings and queens. They are oligarchs. They are people that are billionaires. Just think on that, if you can, that is. We continue. The system uses a device called the Orb. Very interesting name. A shiny spherical scanner that captures the unique patterns of your eyes. The goal, to create a digital ID that proves that you are a real human being online. That's, very important. The project's developers claim this technology will help protect against bots and fraud. But critics argue that another step toward normalizing mass biometric surveillance is in the name of convenience. No crap. This disturbing digital ID project has now been rolled out in 6 Democrat-controlled cities across the country. Launched in Atlanta, Austin, Los Angeles, Miami, Nashville, and San Francisco. The program offers $40. Look how cheap you are to give up your privacy and basically your neck. So they offer $40 worth of cryptocurrency to anyone willing to let their eyes be scanned. Now, you only need to do this once, just like you only needed to send your sample of your DNA once for them to always have it. This article goes on to more of a sales sort of pitch about why this is so good, but I'll leave it up to you. It's by David Lindfield, May 29th, 2025, if you are so interested. We are moving on. finally to our last story. And this story is both horrifying and amusing. It reads as the following: the doomsday clock has never been closer to the metaphorical midnight. What the hell does that mean anyway? Before we get into the snippets of this article, I have a question. Is it not strange that we have a doomsday clock? Even the concept of it is absurd. It reminds me of the absurd tradition we have in North America with a groundhog, a rodent that comes out and tells us, the humans, if we will have a long spring or a short spring. What the F? It never seems to amaze me what grown-ass people believe. Back to the clock. Some facts about the doomsday clock are at very least entertaining. One interesting observation I've made is every single photo that I can see has been adjusted by a wrinkly ass, spindly old hand. Who decides when to move it closer or further from midnight? And who is the doomsday clock for? For us, the sheeple? I highly doubt it. What will we do? Go hide in our bunkers when most of us peasants are living paycheck to paycheck? Here's what they're saying. Who's responsible for the doomsday, or who's in charge of the doomsday clock? Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists is responsible. The non-profit organization, those things you should be far staying away from, organization that sets the clock each year, that's who sets it. The group meets annually to assess how close humanity is to self-destruction based on three main factors. Climate change, but of course. Nuclear proliferation, that was difficult. I must have probably started that whole equalizing of the grades. And disruptive technologies, such as artificial intelligence. Well, these guys are super smart. This year, it cited continuing trends in multiple global existential threats, including nuclear weapons, climate change, AI, infectious diseases, and conflicts in Ukraine and the Middle East. It also pointed out the spread of misinformation, that's you and me, gentlemen and ladies, and conspiracy theories as a potent threat multiplier. Ooh, like we're part of the problem. Where are we bringing that clock to 12, ladies and gentlemen? You best all switch off the lights, because you're adding to the problem, no? We move on. This undermines the public disclosure in general and about these very issues. So, we're the problem. Always the problem. While these threats are not new, no kidding, the scientists said that despite unmistakable signs of danger, national leaders and their societies have failed to do what is needed to change course. They are particularly concerned about the US, China, and Russia, countries that they say have the collective power to destroy civilization. The prime responsibility is to pull the world back from the brink. The bulletin hopes the movement of the clock's second hand, as instrumental as it may seem, will serve as a wake-up call to the world leaders. Yeah, the problem is that they seem to be misinformed themselves, and everything that we cannot control nuclear, we cannot control the weather, even though they say it's us that's making the problem. We cannot control when Fauci donates to labs across the world. These are problems that are high power problems, and we are being pointed at, you and me, ladies and gentlemen. But I will continue to entertain you with fake news, of course. And with that, we want to thank you for your time. And until the next time, have a good night.